Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about weapons, and more specifically the damage you deal with each weapon type. We're going to talk about average damage. So what you have to know is that there's a low value. Here it's 75. It's your lowest value you can hit with your weapon, and 165, which is your highest. So we're going to talk about average damage today. So which weapon is the best? We're going to learn all of that. So there are. I'm not going to talk about the staff since we won't be auto attacking with the staff except at very low levels when you're leveling up like your first 15 levels or so. But we're mainly going to talk about the usable weapons for now. So the battle axe, warhammer, and greatsword. These are all two-handed weapons. We have the melee weapons: the axe, the dagger, the mace, and the sword. So these are the melee weapons. And then we have the ranged weapons: pistol and bows. Okay, so what we need to know is each weapon allow you to use different set of skills. So first, for your build, you only have certain choices as which weapon you want to use for certain skill. Take for example the turret, usable with daggers, bows, and pistol. And take for another example maybe warpath, usable with melee weapons. So all melee weapons will be able to use warpath. Uh, and the turret is going to be only available for daggers, bows, and pistol. So if you're using the turret, like a turret build with a pistol, and you want to use warpath, you will not be able to. You would have to use it with a dagger because the dagger is also a melee weapon. So keep in mind that you have to use the good weapon for your build, but after you know that, then you can choose which weapon you want and which one is the best. All right. So we're gonna go to a spreadsheet here. This was given to us by Mirenu, who was nice enough to do all the math for us. So we won't. I won't have to do that. So we already have that. All right. So first of all the melee weapons, the one-handed melee, they all have the same average. So it's all 538. Um, so the conclusion is all melee one-handers have the same average. So you can use whichever one you want. It doesn't really matter. One will have a lowest low, one will have a highest higher high, but the average is always going to be the same. So they're pretty much all equals. And then you have the pistol here. So pistol is also a one-hander. Uh, so I kind of feel like the pistol should be included with this, but the thing is, the pistol has a little bit of a lower average. It only does 99.6% of the damage a regular melee weapon does. But on top of that, it does not scale with melee weapon damage. So if we go in our passive tree here, if you go in our passive tree here, most if not every single build will probably path here. Well, not every single build, but like most attack builds will try to path here to go to this node, 60% crit chance score and 10% crit damage. So most will path here. So you get 24% melee weapon damage just here, and that will not benefit the pistols. So pistols are already doing less damage, 99.6%, and on top of that, they don't scale with melee weapon damage. So yeah, pistol are kind of inferior to other melee weapons. And then we have the bow here. So everyone knows the bow. Everyone trash talks about the bow. The thing is, they have 3% more damage, but you cannot use an offhand. So they do more damage than a one-hander, but you cannot use a shield. You cannot use a catalyst. Like it's just worse in every way. Just using the max 15, like a one-hander with a max 15, you gain much more than 3% damage. So this is the bows are just bad. Um, and then you have the two-handed. So you have the axe, the hammer, and the sword. All right. First of all, they all have different averages. I don't know why they did that. With the one-hander, they're all the same. But here we have the sword, which does 1022 average damage. This is considering like the highest possible roll, right? So the sword is the worst of the two-handers. And then you have the axe, and then you have the hammer. So the axe does almost 1% more damage than the sword, but the hammer does 3% more damage than the sword. So it's a quite significant increase in damage. So these are pretty much unbalanced right now. I think they have to fix this. I think they have to fix this so that they all do the same damage. But yeah, this is just I'm just giving this to you as information so that you know. So in order, you have the sword, the axe, and the hammer is the best. The hammer is the best if you want to build a two-handed build. I suggest crafting a hammer. So there you have it, guys. So now you know. Always use all the one-handers are equal. Pistol is a bit inferior. Bows are trash. Sword and axes are worse than hammers. There you have it. So now you can decide which weapon you want for your build. Always remember that you need a specific weapon for each skill. So keep that in mind, and then you have the information here to be able to choose the good weapon for your build. Thank you so much for watching, guys.